Hello, dear friends, and welcome to our podcast dedicated to sight reading through the lens of the historically informed performance practice. My name is Darina Blogina, and today my co-host is...
Hello, I'm Dakota Wayne. I'm a composer helping to inform our practice, historical and contemporary.
Amazing, thank you so much, brilliant. And we have a guest today.
Hi, my name is Klemens Niklaus Trenkle. I'm the founder actually from the SMEM in Fribourg, Switzerland. And I'm a collector of musical instruments, especially electronic musical instruments. And my collection just got the Innovation Prize from the era of Fribourg.
Ah, congrats.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. And it's a thing that it's not only my only work, it's the work of our team, the SMEM team actually. And we did a great job the last 5 years. I started actually 40 years ago with collecting musical instruments. It was a bit, I can tell you later how it came out. But so far, that's it for me. And I do a lot of other things, but that takes hours to explain.
And so could you tell us, how did you come to this idea to create a museum and this collection came into life?
Into that, yeah. I used to be actually a musical instrument dealer in Basel. I had a shop nearby here, just around the corner. And I started actually in the 80s with electronic musical instruments. I had a shop where we only did electronic musical instruments. That's my first shop was Gig SM Electronic at the Nauenstraße in these times, and was the well-known shop with Hammond organs, with synthesizers and stuff. And I started actually when I was a young student. I always saw in the vitrines down there in the Bahnhof here in the station, I saw synthesizers, and I wanted to get one, and I couldn't afford it.
All of them.
It was too expensive, it costed a fortune. And at these days, I started then also to visit this shop. Got friends with the owner and started also to work there a bit to clean up stuff. After I graduated on the same day, I went there again. It happened that the shop was so terrible, not in order. It was every instrument was completely. There was dust everywhere and not branched and not working. And so I decided to do something. I took some cleaners and stuff and started to clean up, and that's how I started to work in the musical industry, or in the musical selling industry actually. And after that I started immediately also after to fall in love with the instruments and to collect them, to keep them. That's I actually did the first things I did,
That's so cool. I have a question already, if I might jump in. What about, you mentioned electronic musical instruments. I'm assuming synthesizers. What else is a musical instrument of electronics? Amplifiers, microphones, organs. What drew you to these kinds of instruments over, the cembalo?
Basically, actually, I fell in love with all the instruments. In general, I love all instruments. I love the origin of how mankind invented instruments and how we still invent more possibilities or other possibilities also in the age of electronification. I call it like that a bit, because we checked it out then in the Basel Museum. Unfortunately, they only collected till 1916, I guess, before the electrification of actually mankind, because then officially mankind started to be electrified. So we used to have everywhere light. We used to have electric, whatever fans or heatings or lamps and illumination, all these things, and also instruments. And here in Basel, we didn't collect that. And for me, it was also another push then to collect the other side, to collect the electrified instruments. There's so many instruments there. I just got an instrument recently that's like a harmonium. It's actually like a harmonica or a harmonium with a fan inside that puts pressure on the air, and then it does the sound with tubes inside.
So like you don't need to push. You don't need to be a bicyclist, basically.
The machine does it for you.
In former time, maybe you used your feet to do that, as you say.
Yeah, exactly.
And,
that's such a funny instrument. I understand why they modified it.
Exactly, and this was also like Horner did that in the 50s. They did that. They electrified that with mechanical possibilities, with wind, also actually with air pressure. So it happened to a lot of things. Like actually the classical church organ is also with pressure, with air pressure.
It's a synthesizer. Well, it's not, but basically
it's a medieval synthesizer.
It's the original synthesizer of
the grandpa.
The grandpa,
Exactly. I have a question. What was your first instrument in the collection that you created? The very first instrument.
My very first instrument, it started like that. In these times, I found in a fanzine, in an electronic newspaper, I found a thing, noise generator. And I thought, what's that? A picture, a noise generator. How to build a noise generator. That was, I think it was in Elrad at these times. There was like an electric, for electricians, a newspaper. And then I thought, I gotta have that. And of course, it had to be built. Then I went to an electronic parts shop. I said, I need parts to build that. I did have no clue how to do that. Then I started to build that. And so I built my first noise generator.
Wow.
And I put that together. I did the print. I did that as a handwritten. At these times you could have like an ink. You wrote on the PCB board, you can write on that, and then you put that in the chemical things, and then it carves it out with the chemical solutions, and then you have to drill it, and you have to solder the resistors, the capacitors onto it, and I did that all myself.
Wow.
Did all these things because I was interested. It was for me, I have to have this noise generator. I didn't know what it was, but I built it.
And do you still have this instrument in the museum?
Yes.
Yes?
Not working because at one time I unfortunately took it apart, but I still have the original PCB. I have it at home, and I want to rebuild it. It's really easy done, actually, and it worked. It was really working. Checked it out, that the potentiometers turning like shh, and the pink noise was, and the ever wideness was more like shh, these things. I was like fascinated, and that was for me actually my first synthesizer I ever built myself. It was just one of the items of the components of a synthesizer, and it was great. And after that, every day I went to this window in the station here in Basel and saw this Korg MS-10 or 20, and the MS-20 was so expensive, and the MS-50 was even more expensive, and the SQ-10 was. I couldn't afford it. And then it happened that one day there was a special sale, Korg MS-10, 555 francs. And I was like, whoa, 555. Oh, gotta have it. Went to my grandma, can you give me? She gave me $30. My sister, my brother, everyone gave me money. I worked for pennies and got the money in, bought it. And that was my first synthesizer, Korg MS-10.
And how many instruments do you have now in the collection?
In the collection, I have to...
Because we have been there, Timofey and I, and we have seen it was like the room was full of instruments, and we just got lost. We were so impressed.
Yeah.
Incredible. Have you been there?
Unfortunately, I've never been.
You should go.
I have to go.
Yeah, you have to. It's really worth it. No, I guess it's the amount is, because the invention, I mean, mankind invented so many possibilities, so it's never ending, because I guess at the moment we have around, my guys always say it's around 5,000 items, and I think it's about 1,500 synthesizers and organs in this. I always say it's about 1,500 synths and maybe about 500 organs, and the rest is like effect units, special. I mean, there exists electric guitars, electric trumpet things, like also valve instruments, like saxophones, electric with pressure possibilities, or things like electrified pianos, organs. Electric church organs. You
even have a Thereminvox, this instrument that you can play with different hand positions.
Yeah. Things like that. Theremin is a very, very known instrument at the moment. There is so many possibilities to do, also electrified, with microphones built in, with pressure sensors, all kind of electronic sensor possibilities. And it's an open thing, and still are people who invent stuff.
A question, what does the abbreviation SMEM mean?
SMEM means, it was a thing, a name I created at the very beginning, and we kept it because it was das Schweizerisches Museum für elektronische Musikinstrumente. And I just made the abbreviation like that. And you can also say Swiss Museum of Electronic Musical Instruments. You can say Swiss Museum Electronic Musical Instrument, Musical. And you can basically say it in every language. Yeah, that's actually it.
And people can play some instruments at the museum.
The idea was, because also I used to have a studio here in Basel, in old times, I say, also long time. It's quite a long time ago. I had, unfortunately, to give that up, and this studio was actually based around a vintage studio. I used to have the instruments in my studio, and we worked with that. We did also quite a bit of recordings with bands also from Basel, with international bands also. But it was not huge, because I had a bit also problems, unfortunately, with my producers sometimes, because they were not so, I say, nice guys in the sense. They were actually quite good producers, but in another way they had a bit of other problems, like also. Yeah, you know what I mean. But it's always a bit the thing also in the music scene, I mean, this is also in with big well-known musicians. They have their problems with money and with other things, even with drugs or whatever, And I think for me it's tempi passati, also it's far away, and I had to stop that then, and after that I only did collection. I mean, for myself, I still work a bit on electronical musical stuff. I did, for me, sometimes I did music for theaters, a bit for film and stuff, not big time, but I did quite a bit for Helmut Fernbacher Theater Company in Basel. Shakespeare thing, Julius Caesar one once, was quite a synthesizer opus. Was really, it's quite a nice thing, experimental, of course. With I remember when I was doing it, it was great. Also when I saw the finished play, I was like, wow, did I compose that? Did I play that? It was like, you know.
Did you actually study music? Do you have like a musical education, or you were just writing
myself
music? Yeah.
Yeah, my training, I did not. I was always a bit lazy, you know. I learned to play the piano, but my teacher was actually also, he was from the Musikakademie, or he still is. It was Gérald Garfiol. Maybe you know him. He is a very, very good keyboard player, synthesizer player. He was long time also, I think he was a Synclavier player. Also he had a Synclavier in Zurich or somewhere, and he played that and had to program it and things like that for a studio. And Gerald was my piano teacher. I met him at my shop there because I was then in this shop after I bought my Korg MS-10. Then I stopped to, also I did graduate, and after that I started to work in this company at a station here in Basel, Fribourg SMEM Electronic. And then all of a sudden my boss told me, don't you like to run my shop because I have problems with my employees? I said, yeah, why not? I'm going to do that. And then I was 20 at this time, 20, yeah, even 18, 19 or something like that. I was really young. And I said, yeah, I like to do that. And we had really good times. And I started to run this shop, and it was really fantastic because I was so into that. I could really transport that and also sell and convince people into synthesizers. Mm-hmm. So I sold really a lot of MS-10s, MS-20s, all kind of Roland stuff and all these things.
Inspired.
Really, that was the point. And that put me also in this situation. And we had that the very, very first thing. We reopened that shop on the Bahnhof, just in brackets, you know. And my colleagues made about $5,000 a month. And my boss was freaking out. And I was in the military service. After that, I came back, and he said, "Ebbe, come, I have to talk with you." And then he asked me if I want to do that. And he was actually begging me to do that. And I said, yeah, I'm going to do it. And after that, the end of the next month,
like the income
of the shop, just to explain how I was in fire for the material.
You were smashing.
It was for me. It was the thing. I could, if you came in the shop, I could sell you immediately. I remember me doing that. I was not. People they trusted me. They said, "Hey, I have to have an MS-10. I have to have an MS-20." They took the money out and paid it, went out, and I can't. I mean, I had that at this time. I can't remember. I can remember it now, but it was fantastic for me, and it was really because I had this magic was so. It's like everything else. If you are into that, but I think it's still here because for me, it's still the magic of the instruments. It's not only the electric instrument; it's all kind of instruments.
Speaking of the instruments themselves, so this was a couple decades ago, maybe we'll say. Yes. Was there a higher demand for these kinds of, these old synthesizers that in comparison to today?
At this time, no. Actually, it was the fancy thing is it went down. There was this time where it changed from analog to digital. Mm. People at this time, the analog synths were quite expensive. Mm-hmm. except actually like a Minimoog was not so expensive. I mean, it still costed about 5,000 francs or dollars, was still expensive. But, or the bigger ones also, I mean, like Oberheim Matrix 12 or something like that, they cost about 12,000 Swiss or dollars at this time. But other instruments, there came this gap between analog and digital. The boost in this time for me to collect was I got these instruments back then. People started to sell me analog stuff. They said, I don't want this analog stuff. I want digital stuff. I need a DX7 now, digital, digital. I need a digital, whatever digital. I said, oh, get your digital, no problem, get it. And then, you can have this this Moog Source back, And then I started to trade it in. Mm-hmm. And I went to my boss, and my boss said, no, I don't want these old things. If you like that, you can buy it for yourself. Just leave the amount in the cash and keep it for yourself if you like it, and you still can resell it if you want. And for me, it was like, yeah, finally, I got a Minimoog or a Moog Source for a decent price, And I had a Moog Source hanging over my bed, like a Moog Source is like a children's picture, like this blue, orange, and yellow. There's not even knobs, The Moog Source is like a plastic surface with touch controls. Also, if you know it, I don't have a picture here, but it was the first Moog actually with just an incremental wheel, and the rest was like you could touch up this foil. Also with the contacts down, and then you did choose the VCO or the filter or whatever, and then you could increment as a plus or minus. Do that with one knob actually.
But I want to go back to what you said about this Minimoog, because this, and maybe some of our guests who are listening would understand. This to me is crazy that you say the Minimoog. This is like a small model. Yeah. Was 5,000 franc or dollar. Yeah. Nowadays you can buy Ableton or whatever program you want, 300. You get the kind of compact version, and you have I don't know, unlimited sounds. I mean, this is what we're recording on right now. Yeah. To me, this is like an insane kind of compaction of the power. Yep. What would you say there is the value to having still today analog equipment, these electricity analog synthesizers with real circuits?
Real circuits is still a different thing. If you have it's like with the analog instruments, it's like having let's say a cheap violin made by a computer or by a machine.
3D printer. There are instruments that are made with 3D printers.
Yeah, 3D printed. Yeah. Or with like made in wherever in a cheap manufacturing country like Vietnam, China, or somewhere. I mean, today is also in China the quality is very, very high because they did copy everything up to the detail, and also the quality. Also, a Chinese acoustic guitar at the moment. I mean, they're quite nice, But at the very first beginning, the China guitar was just crap, really crap. You saw how did you do that, and we knew that the guitars they did, like they had machines in Vietnam, and I guess they run into a big machine, and after they actually cut the complete wood with the trees, everything, out came the guitars. It's like a monster that eats all the trees, and out there come guitars. Mm-hmm. And then they put some strings on it, and that's how they
put it in a box. Yeah, ship it around the world.
Ship it around the world. Yeah, sell it for $50 or something like that in every like Lidl or whatever place. No, it's really, and they really started to do that, and the quality was at a certain time it was so low. It was really I remember at these times there was instruments you could I mean, I couldn't believe that they sell that as an instrument. This can't be an instrument, you know. I mean, if you see in comparison, if you do a guitar on your own, you cut it from a piece of good wood. There's a really high quality procedure. And after that, you have a guitar that maybe costs 6,000 francs, but it's a top quality. And the same also happened a bit with the electronics. I mean, at the moment, you know, they do a lot of, I mean, like Behringer really does very cheap stuff, you know. But also on the other hand, he does very high quality because he has copied everything. This is also a very a good thing to copy things in a high quality, and then you have approximately the same as the original.
And how did you find this space in Fribourg for your collection?
We had a exposition in Basel, and then after that we did a similar exposition in Bern about electronic music, about the Swiss music stuff. Like the history of Swiss music and bands and everything. And then the Bern Museum, the Museum for Kommunikation, was asking me if I could lend them just a synthesizer that has a bit of look, you know. And I said, yeah, I don't want to give a Moog. Not only there doesn't exist only a mini Moog. There's also other stuff. And I said, yeah, okay, let's give them the Korg 3100, also 3100. And I gave them this one just as a showcase, you know. And at this exhibition, when there was this opening day, there were a few people there, and they came to me and said, to introduce us, we are from Fribourg, blah, 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 blah. And we heard about your huge collection, and we are interested. We have some space in Fribourg. I said, this sounds good. This sounds good, because before I had a long time, I had to search for the possibility, because here in Basel I couldn't pay the rent anymore. The things were, I had to, also my studio in another place in Basel, I had to go out there because they also, actually my studio guy didn't pay the rent, you know. This was, it was terrible, you know. I thought he promised me that he paid, and one day I got a phone call from the guys, you know. Yeah, we didn't get a penny for this year. And I said, wow, that's not possible. You know, how much do I owe? About 7 grand. And I said, I don't have 7 grand at the moment. What's going on, you know? And then, you have to leave, you know. And anyway, they always said we are too loud in the studio. It was not true. Anyway, after that, I got the possibility then to go out to another place. I had a sponsor that gave me another place, but there it was also a bit tricky. And then in Bern, they said, we have these rooms, and they are actually under Heimatschutz, also they are protected from the state. You know, they can't tear them down. You know? And I said, this sounds good. This sounds. I need like a treasure, you know. I need something like that, a place where they can't say in 2 months that we're gonna tear that down, and you're on the street again. And I said, okay, let's do that. And then we moved everything to Fribourg in when was that? In 2016, I guess it was then. Yeah. And then after that, I had. The rest, I put some detail, also some software and some other stuff to another place. It was a bit, complicated, you know. For me, it was too much in the end, because I said I just want to get that in a good place and work with it and work also, open it for the public and get people in and. So they can work on it, you know, with it.
Do you ever host events in your museum? Like
Events?
Yeah, like concerts?
Yes, yeah.
Asking for a friend.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, this is a big thing also, actually. I used to do that before in Basel, not only in Basel. I did a lot, besides my shop, I did a lot of events at these times also. I started actually to do that. And in Fribourg, we have very good people. At the moment it's Fiona that does this job. Before it was Vincent. And Fiona is very good in doing these things also. And I always tell also people to do things like events. And at the moment we have, I think it was just, today is 22nd, yesterday I guess, 20. The Young Gods did put their new album online. I guess it was yesterday. Yeah, and I think it's a 1 hour's film, also a movie about this Terry Riley story. They actually produced in the SMEM, and with with our instruments in this sense. And this is actually my goal, to do that. I used to do that before in my other studio in Basel, but it was not, but nobody knew it in this sense. Now I'm on a stage that it's gonna be public, or it's already public, and I really love if it's more and more things like that.
Actually, we played with your instruments a little bit when we were there at the museum, and we recorded something. Yeah. So maybe we can also insert those excerpts into our episode. Yeah. Yes, but thank you very much for this interview, and thank you very much for agreeing to be here with us.
No problem. I mean, it was only some tiny bits of my story. It's a very long story, and I have lots of details to tell you also, if you like, some other day.
Maybe we can have an episode 2 with you.
An excursion.
Yeah.
We test out all the synths and
yes, that would be great, actually.
Let this be a teaser to all who are listening to go to the SMEM, Swiss Museum of Electronic Music in Fribourg.
Thank you so much. And Timofey Shatny was doing the recording magic today. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.